What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Opinionated Audience. I'm Luis. This is Michaela. And today we're going to go over some It's Complicated channel. We're going to react to The Rules of Modern Dating and Understanding Women. Mr. and Misandry is the title. So let's go ahead and get into it.
Are women more attracted to nice guys or bad boys?
In my personal experience, the type of women I've encountered, the type of women I like, mostly are attracted to bad guys. So most women like a guy with a little edge, which I can't blame them for that, because you don't want boring shit, you know what I'm saying?
So then why should men care about what women want?
The same reason why, if you're a salesperson, you should care what the customer thinks. That's the most important part of the play.
That is a good point, because, I mean, it's true. Women don't want boring guys. You know what I mean? Because, yeah, boring is stable and everything, but women like excitement, and the whole bad boy, right, image is basically a guy that doesn't really care about his woman. He's going to do whatever he wants. And she's like, I need to lock him down. I can do it. I can lock the bad boy down.
I can do this. I can make him stop texting these hoes. I got this.
Why do women complain about toxic masculinity when women enable that behavior by choosing to date bad boys?
Ooh, that's a good question. Some people want what they don't need and need what they want. It's the nature of a human being, man. Nature of the beast.
Should anybody be hating anybody?
No, absolutely not. I feel like the human race, we thrive better when we love each other, caring for each other, things like that.
If it's acceptable for women to hate men, how are men and women ever supposed to get together?
We won't. I mean, at the end of the day, because, I mean, to be honest, I'm married now, but I will say, even for friends and things like that, or even the younger generation, there are things as a man I warn my nephews about, like in the next generation, of what to watch out for when it comes to dating. I also warn women as well, but if I project hatred onto them, I think that it's gonna steer them away from even wanting to engage with the opposite gender.
I think it's just with this culture.
You have to wait till I transition.
I think it's just with this culture. Everything is just so accepted, you know, like it's in the normal to dislike men if you're a woman, or it's in the normal to mistrust men if you're a woman. And it's the same for men. Like, they completely misconceptualize how a woman is sometimes, and it's just like this back and forth thing, and we're all both going in circles. And I mean,
I think you make a good point. You know, it's definitely acceptable for women to label all men bad, you know, and to say that all men do this, that all men do that. But at the end of the day, like, these women are picking these bad boys when they have the option of picking the nice guy, picking the guy that they know isn't going to, you know, screw their friends, that they know isn't going to ask for $50 and never pay it back, or, you know, drive your beat up Altima.
I think it's just the competitive drive in us, honestly. Like, we want what we can't have, and that is just the foundation of it all.
That, and I think, you know, it's perfectly fine to have standards. Like, obviously have the standards that you want, but if they are too high, then you know, people can get upset when those standards are met, because you've narrowed the pool so small. You know what I'm saying? And this whole it is acceptable for women to hate men. It's become the way it is. You see it in television, right? In sitcoms, like, the husband is the buffoon who can't fix anything, who needs the woman to guide him and teach him how to do the simplest task. You see it all over the commercials, you know, on social media. So it's perfectly acceptable for women to hate men. But if a man hates a woman, then it's the end of the world, right? And I don't know any man that hates women. They may categorize some women, or they may generalize women, but I don't know a single man that hates women.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. It's just all it's miscalculated, honestly. It's like you keep, you know, going back to this men and women and the complications involved and everything. And I just believe that, I think it goes back to, you know, several discussions that we've had before on how we were raised and how we were taught, you know, like, it just depends basically on, like, what kind of man you view your father as, or what kind of woman you view your mother as. And it's just, you know, we categorize these things based off of experiences, and it's completely normal. But that's the thing. It's just become normal. We don't really go off of what we know because, you have these 18-year-olds and these 19-year-olds out here, and they're misconceptualizing men or women, both in general, based off of movies, based off of, like you said, sitcoms and
Right.
whatnot. And it's inevitable. It's a never-ending fight.
And that's the importance of having a nuclear family, having that balance
Absolutely.
between nature and nurture. You're supposed to have the father to kind of teach the tough lessons of life to the children. You're supposed to have the mother to teach the softer lessons of life. But it's been normalized to be a strong, independent single mother because you go, girl. You get that. You don't need no strong man. You're the Happy Mother's Day and Happy Father's Day.
Yeah,
But then it becomes an issue when these children grow up without a father and they don't have that example of what a healthy actual relationship looks like.
Right. Or it's even worse though if you grow up in an unhealthy relationship, like in a home with an unhealthy relationship, with parents constantly bickering and arguing back and forth and whatnot, and like that leads into early on abuse. That leads on to like just disagreements right out from the bat in a relationship. You have expectations of your partner and they don't meet those expectations, and you take it out on them as your father did on his mother, or your mother did on your father.
Right.
As far as equality efforts go, why are we so concerned with masculinity when we should be concerned about misandry?
Because masculinity is defined by women. It's been defined by women in their servitude by men. And we have to, it's like an ego thing, but we're forgetting about the very premise of what we are fighting for. If we're fighting for equality and equal justice for all, we need to have the foundation of equal justice as the very premise before masculinity. And because if we're fighting for men's equality, there's guys that aren't masculine. Are they supposed to be second class to others? Whether we're masculine or we're not, men have to have equality, equal rights to women. And masculinity comes second. And who's to define masculinity? Well, let men define their own masculinity. Let men develop in their own right, not anyone else's.
He makes a very good point there, and I firmly believe, like, in equality and equal rights and all of this, but you get on the specific, icky topic of women's rights and women's equality, as we did like last discussion, and I agree with him on, they don't know what they're fighting for anymore. And it falls into, what he was saying about, let men define what masculinity is for them, because it's just like a woman, like we get to define ourselves based on what we believe in.
Right. It's as if I'm going to have to tell you that you're not being feminine enough, that you need to do this, this, and that to be feminine. And then what's going to happen? You're going to lose your mind. You're going to call me a misogynist, a women hater, etc.
Exactly. Yeah.
And this whole thing about toxic masculinity, it's just a phrase that's tossed around. There's no such thing as toxic masculinity. There's masculine and non-masculine, at least when it comes to men, right? The thing is, you want masculine men.
Absolutely.
You want men that are capable of, going to the woods, starting a fire, hunting, providing. Most women don't want a man that can't do man things. Right?
They can't provide. That's what we look for in a man. We look for someone that can provide for us. We look for a man that we can, reproduce with, somebody that's gonna make strong children.
The best of the best.
Exactly. Yeah.
And the problem is, if you and I go on a road trip and we get a flat tire, and I don't know how to change the flat tire, you have to do it.
Baby.
You know what I'm saying? If for whatever reason we have to go out into the woods, and who's gonna feed us? You know what I mean? Like if you have to kill the deer and you have to skin it and you have to gut it and you have to do all that stuff, then I'm not serving my masculine role, my male provider role.
Absolutely. That goes back to older days as well. As like there was hunters and there was gatherers, you know, like the men would obviously hunt and they would bring in
Right.
the food, and then the women would, you know, skin it and cook it, and that's just the way that it is. And I firmly believe in, you know, like as you use the example as a flat tire or whatever, but there is equality is there as well. Like I remember the one time that we did stop and we had a flat tire, you know, I was out helping, and that's part of being, you know, that team and creating that equality that we're talking about right now. Is like you can't just depend all on one person, even if it is a sort of masculine trait or whatever. It's like, you know, sometimes I expect, you know, when I'm sick, you know, you to bring me chicken noodle soup, or you know, and it's the opposite. I'll take out the trash. Like those are simple little daily tasks that, you know, we push into each category and we expect one another to do. You expect me to cook, I expect you to take out the trash, and that's just.
And back to the feminist equality thing that they were talking about is we've mentioned in, I think, our last episode or our last broadcast. I don't know what to call this. Our last upload. Name a right that I have that you don't. If anything, I can make the argument that you have more. I wouldn't say rights, but definitely more
Freedom.
Privileges.
Yeah.
You definitely have more privileges than I do.
Based on the fact that I'm simply a woman.
That you're a woman, that you're young, that you're attractive.
I agree with that in some sense. You know, like I deal with it in the military almost, you know, every year, or every day of my career is, you know, people look at me and they judge me based off of how I look and the way that
Right. They don't think that you're capable because you're a pretty woman, right?
And I hate that. I hate that misconceptualization of, you know, you just batted your eyelashes to get to the top, because I've worked my ass off. And I'm pretty sure that, you know, I can definitely I can't outwork men, but I'm definitely right there with them. And
like you have strong work ethic.
Yeah.
You know, but there's certain things
I can't do that men
can't
can.
do
Like
that
I'll
they
totally
can.
admit
Absolutely,
that. Yeah.
But then the flip side to that would be, if you and I go to a bar and we're not together, you're gonna get in for free. I gotta pay $25 cover charge.
It depends on what kind of night is. Like maybe if it's ladies' night.
Men are gonna buy you drinks.
What does it mean when somebody says that's a man's job?
Taking out the trash. Yeah, that's a man's job. I hate taking out trash. If I gotta touch a trash can, you're here. What do I
can put my own gas. I just have an issue taking out the trash. Like I'll take out the trash when you're at work or when you're busy or whatever. But
hey, it's your turn. You got to make me a sandwich. It's your job. Go make me that.
And
sandwich.
I have no problem at all making you sandwiches. Anytime you ask for food.
Tell that to these modern women that get all mad and upset when their man asks for some food.
I mean, I think it's kind of blatantly disrespectful the way that she did just say, I mean, what are you here for if you're not taking out my trash? Like, I mean, is that what a man's job is
So what
for?
would she be doing if she didn't have a man? Would she just let the trash pile up in the kitchen?
That's my question. Like, that's my question.
Is she just going to let the trash pile up?
And then, like, what about this girl? Is she just not getting anywhere because she can't pump her own gas? Like,
yeah, I don't know. She must be Flintstoning it.
And my boyfriend,
a gentleman, like why wouldn't
he
she want
should
to
be
do
the
it?
one getting out of the car doing it.
Definitely.
What's a woman's job?
Cooking, cleaning, like the older days.
At least she kept it real.
at least she kept it. Yeah.
I thought she went one way, and then she kind of stayed that way, saying, hey, she need to cook, she need to clean. Okay, keeping it traditional.
That's just our roles, you know, as a female. And I hate it how women just totally categorize and base like what they're worth off of, you know, making their man a sandwich. That doesn't display your worth. That displays the affection and the love that you have for your person.
That displays the respect you have for the man. Just like you and I, you know, I have no issues with women wanting to work. Right? That's fine. That's cool. At the end of the day, if something breaks around the house and I come home from work, I'm expected, well, not expected, but it's my role, it's my job to fix it, right? When I come home from work or you come home from work, it's your job to cook us dinner.
Yeah, and just to make sure that you're fed, because like my job is to take care of you in that sense. Like our refrigerator literally just stopped working a while ago, and I was like, oh, it's not pushing out cold air.
Yeah, I mean, simple fix, but right.
And I could have unplugged it and plugged it back in, but I called Luis because, I mean...
So the thing is, a lot of people, they don't understand, right, that men and women are just better together, right? Like, you help me, right, because I help you, because you help me, and it becomes that cycle, and my success is yours, and your success is mine, and vice versa. What people don't understand, especially a lot of these modern women that say, I'm independent, I don't need a man, they diminish the man's goals, aspirations, or even their accomplishments, because they can do bad all by themselves.
Honestly, whether you're in, a heterosexual relationship or whether you're in like a man and woman relationship, having that partner there is like
You just said the same thing.
What?
You said a heterosexual relationship and a man and woman relationship.
I mean, okay, even if you're in same-sex relationship or opposite-sex relationship, having that partner there is just such a relief. And like admitting that you do need help sometimes and that you do need that other half to like help you along in life, that isn't a fault and that isn't a weakness. Like that's like if you're just constantly telling yourself that you're independent and you're strong, you don't need anybody else, that just reminds me of like double working myself when I'm sweeping like a pile of dirt into the same spot and then like dragging it across the house just to get it in that one spot of dirt because I'm independent and I can bring this pile of dirt to this other pile of dirt.
Right. And it's crazy because a lot of these women, when they're younger, they want to be strong and independent, but when they reach their later years, they don't want to work because they're getting older, they're tired. So they're looking for that guy that's going to be like, where's my Prince Charming that's going to take care of me?
Oh, I think that falls into the maturity
Sister,
aspect.
you left them back in the friend zone.
That falls into like maturing, and like learning as you grow. And that's like, it's not a fault on anyone. It's just, it's literally having the experience and like knowing things.
No. I think it's all this experience that these women talk about in their early 20s is just a bunch of a bunch of dick, because they want to party and they want to have all these fun in their 20s, but then when they're in their 30s, when they don't look as good, we talked about this our last episode, they want the guy, you know what I mean, that was giving them attention in their 20s.
Yeah.
But now that guy is getting attention from the 20-year-olds.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I don't know. I'm trying to base it off of like what my mindset was at when I was younger. Like I'm pretty young. 23 is pretty young, I think. But I'm just saying, like 16, 17-year-old, I was in high school, like I was taught to basically like mistrust men in general. And then like the more I grew into myself and the more that I based my values off of what I believed, I found, it comforting to have a partner. I found it comforting to admit that, I'm weaker in some areas. And that's just the same thing with women. I guess it just takes some women till they're 30 to get it.
Right.
Dirty work. Yeah, that's a man's job. I'm not doing that.
That usually is a woman saying, well, I don't want that job. It's below me, like sewer workers or...
I wouldn't necessarily say that I don't take out the trash because it's below me. I would definitely just say that I expect that of you as you expect that of me. Like we just talked about, we have our jobs. Right. And it's not because I think you're like that job is below me.
You're being very subjective right now. You're thinking of you. They're describing a wider spectrum of women, not just Michaela. They're talking about women across all ranges, especially some of the ones that they interview, where not the one that said, a woman's got to cook clean, but a lot of these women. She's
the realest one we've seen yet.
Yeah, a lot of these women don't want to take out the trash. They don't want to do any of the housework as far as like upkeep or home improvement. And then they also don't want to cook or clean. So it's like, what does the guy need you for at that point?
Lord, don't get me into that.
What does the guy need you for that at that point?
It's like if your husband spends all day at work, right? And then, like, I remember the first thing, like one of the first things Luis brought up to me when we got married is like, a man wants three things, right? A man wants to not be yelled at when he comes home from work.
Yeah, he doesn't want to get nagged at.
He wants to be fucked, right? Or he wants to be screwed. I don't know how you would say that.
No, the way I said it was like consistent access to your body.
Right. And then he wants food. Like, he wants to be fed. And that is literally three simple things that you can do as a woman. Like, and then if he comes home from work and you haven't accomplished any of those and you're still not accomplishing any of those because you're too tired, what are you tired from?
It's not just that. Somebody else is going to do it.
That is true. Like, you got to take care of yours or else somebody else will.
Somebody else
is going to. And that's for each one.
Somebody's going to feed your man. Somebody's going to drain his you-know-whats. And someone's not going to nag at him. Men are that simple, man. Just three things, right?
And it's worked. It really has. Like,
women want like 10, 20 different things checked off the list before they're happy.
No, we just want to be cared about. Like, we want to be,
certain jobs like plumber or that's what it means. That's a man's job. Or if there's a distasteful task like taking out the garbage. That's a lower status person that needs to do those things. That's what that means.
So would it be any wonder why men and women don't earn the same?
It is an example of what women complain about in the reverse, that shows women don't choose jobs that pay more if they're distasteful or if they require more work to do.
So let's be honest, right? Women
That is
want
a great point.
women want jobs where they don't have to get their hands dirty. Like,
Yep.
and I'm not saying like the entire like race of women, they don't want to get their hands dirty. I'm saying like they expect to be paid the same amount as a man doing completely opposite of what that man is doing. Like for this instance, this man just pointed out, you know, a plumber or someone that, you know, works on the side and
blue
pulls,
collar,
right.
yeah.
Okay, you're not going to get paid as much as that person willing to get his or her hands dirty.
Yeah.
And for you to like stand up on these streets holding up these signs, equality, we need more equal pay or whatever,
So-
then get out there and do it.
Well,
do
the
exactly
thing
what
is
they're doing.
They're fighting for equal pay, right? In the sense that they want the CEO jobs, right? They don't want to work as an electrician or as one of those you know, antenna pole climbers, whatever they're called, or a sewer worker, a construction worker. They're not petitioning and fighting for that. You know, they're petitioning and fighting for the cushy, high-end paying jobs.
But that's just like, for instance, I had a job in high school. I was working at Burger King. You got to start at the very bottom in order to become a manager or in a managerial position. You know, you can't just go from, you know, coming off the streets and saying, hey, I'm going to put in my application. I'm going to become the
And you
manager
need to hire
of
me
this
because I'm a
restaurant
woman.
today.
I know better.
No, you have to start by flipping the burgers, taking the orders, and then you get pushed into those spots because you've showed that you've earned it. You've showed that you're not afraid to get your hands dirty at the lowest level, so you can get stuff done at the highest level.
There is no gender pay gap. It's just that women choose careers and to get the degrees that will land them jobs, if they're lucky, that aren't as valuable as those occupied by men.
Women are not on the top. They're not going to be presidents. They're not going to be CEOs of things. And I think that barely, like, women are starting to get recognition of the fact that they are bosses and that they are, like, powerful people.
Because we're all humans at the end of the day, no matter what we are.
Now you're seeing more CEO women.
Yeah.
Like, it's being more acceptable into now.
Why are women more concerned with the ratio of male to female CEOs as opposed to the ratio of lower paid, dangerous, dirty jobs done mostly by men?
Because women are smarter than men.
Stop the cap. So, and this is exactly what we were talking about, right? This inflated ego that women are better, that women are smarter, but they pick careers that have to do with people, right? Social workers, teachers. Mm-hmm. They don't pick careers in the STEM field for the most part. There are women that do, good for them, but for the most part, most women don't pick those kind of degrees.
I think we have talked on this topic before, you know, and specifically pertaining to the military. But, you know, earlier on when women were becoming accepted into the military, we were nurses, we were, you know, paper pushers, and we were typewriters, we were all kinds of stuff. We were basically sitting behind a desk doing jobs. And that's just because sometimes, like, yes, women can do a lot more multitasking than men. But what makes us so different and what makes us so special that we're smarter? Like, that's not even a thing.
It's this whole 21st century, women are better than men kind of brainwashing that's been happening since you were a little girl, since these women were little girls.
Like, I may know how to write really well and I know how to write better than you. That's a stronger...
Yeah, but that's because you practice writing so well.
Right, but I don't know how to change oil in a car, or, you know, I know how to change a tire.
And that's a good point. Like, how do you measure someone's intelligence?
Right?
Right. If you give me and you and I the test on mechanics, right? Mechanical engineering or home improvement, I'm pretty sure I know that you're not gonna beat me.
No.
But now if we take a test on who can write the most, you know, properly written paper, it's gonna be you. And that's just the way it is. I'm not a strong college writer.
And I can make a better sandwich than you.
That's also true.
We live in a world of women empowerment, it was a time where women didn't have a voice, and they want their voice, and they're demanding their respect. And I'm gonna be honest with you, a lot more women graduate than men, and I kind of feel them on that. You know, women outnumber men 7-1 to 10-1 by the time they graduate high school, and that's a fact. No matter the race, religion, or ritual, those are facts.
Why do you think so many people keep pushing the idea of a gender pay gap when it's been debunked as a myth countless times?
There's no reason for it other than distraction and trying to regurgitate things from the past that aren't issues, so we can get away with women trying to get more and still keep attached to that victimhood narrative, and otherwise they won't have anything else. There's nothing else, so they have to hold on to something, even if it's completely debunked and illegit.
He makes such a good point. You know, like we were saying earlier in this discussion, is what are we fighting for at this point? You know, like we have as many rights as you guys do.
I don't think it's for equality at this point. I think it's for power and control.
It's, like he said, it's being the victim. Like women love being the victim. They do. That's just in their nature. Like they love being the smaller, like, oh, I'm so sad and I need help and all this and like feel sorry for me. Whereas men is just like, I just want to get my job done and go home and let my wife cook me dinner.
I forgot who said it. I think I heard it on Joe Rogan's podcast where he had said, is like, you know, men live quiet lives of desperation.
Absolutely.
You know, because if I voice my opinion on pretty much any struggle that I'm going through, it's just going to be like, oh, dude, suck it up, man. Get a second job, dude. Suck it up. Hey, go hit the gym. Suck it up. Oh, your back hurts. Suck it up. Nobody cares about men's problems.
But why? Why has it become so accepted in today's society to just completely ignore the way that a man feels and to just victimize the woman just because she's a woman?
I think it's something that's learned, right? Because as a man, if you're like overly sensitive and overly emotional, you know, around your woman, she's going to be like turned off by that. She wants to know that she's with a man that's strong, that could handle adversity and handle stuff that comes his way. So if I start like getting all emotional because I got a flat tire, or if I start getting all emotional because work was a little rough today, she might be like, I think I made a bad decision with this guy. I might have to leave him and get me a Giga Chad.
I don't know. I think it goes back to what you were saying earlier, is like women are very, what was it? They're in touch with their feelings, like their emotions. They're very emotional.
Yeah,
and
women are emotional and men are logical.
I mean, honestly, if you see a woman crying and then you see a man crying, which one are you going to feel more sad about? Like, which one are you going to have?
That's true.
More?
Like, if a woman is crying, it could be because, I don't know, she lost a pen, her favorite pen. Her girlfriends are going to come to her aid and rescue, and they're going to pat her on the back. Oh, my God, honey. Oh, you're going to be fine. But if a man is crying, they're just going to think of him and he's weak.
Yeah.
Right? But I've never seen a man cry unless it was like something so severe and so just devastating that man could not hold the tears back, you know?
They're taught at such a young age that crying is bad. Like, if they're playing sports on the football field and they get hurt, they're just supposed to get up and scrape it off and, like, just go on about their lives.
But I think that that's a good thing. I think men are supposed to be tough, because if men are soft and sensitive and cry over a scraped knee, what's going to happen when something really bad happens in their life?
It's a survival mechanism, honestly. And it's just the same thing with women. Women start to cry because they want to get out of something, or they want
someone to sympathize with them.
Right.
So if a man is crying, and, you know, being in the military, it's really tough because you lose friends, combat, or, you know, taking their own lives. And if I hear of a friend crying because of a situation like that, you know that guy's going through it. You know what I mean? Like, he's held it back as long as he could, and eventually you just implode a little bit where you let go. But I don't see a lot of men crying because they had a tough week, or because their boss was a little bit mean to them, or because they didn't get the outcome that they wanted for work.
I mean, that goes back to, you know, mental illnesses as well. Like, I don't want to totally shy away from that either. Even if you are a man or if you are a woman, sometimes people just feel things on a different level. I cry. I cry a lot sometimes, and it's just because I've had a long freaking week, man. But it's just the way that I am, you know. Like that's my genetics. I'm not gonna cry over anything stupid, but at the same time, you could think it's stupid just because you wouldn't cry over it.
Yeah, that's true. You know, you could be crying over something that I might find just completely like, why are you feeling like this over this?
Yeah, like remember that one time, like my NCO or whatever, he was like sending me all these messages and asking me for this and this and this, and I just became so overwhelmed. Like sometimes we're just over freaking whelmed, and we're on our period.
Yeah, because men and women are built different. You know what I mean?
Built different.
We are built different.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a
just the way
good
it
thing.
is.
It's just it's
And
a
that's
balance.
why men and women are better together.
It's a weighted balance.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think we'll leave it here, guys. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. Send us clips at our email. That's going to be in the link below.
Ask us questions. We'd love to engage with you guys.
All right, you guys take care.